get this class started. So today is Command Your Business. And I guess the first question I have is, do you know why Gary Keller created Command?
I'm guessing, but I would say probably to give his agents a leg up so that they could compete, against all the other agents around that have different CRMs, but to give him something that would give us an edge.
That's actually very, very right. When Gary saw that the world was going towards technology and that the consumer was going towards looking at real estate online, some of the other tech companies that were coming out, Nextdoor and Zillow and Redfin and a number of those tech-driven companies, he started seeing a trend in the industry. And his main goal is always to keep the agent at the center of the transaction. So he had a vision of creating a system that would enable agents by technology and give us the leg up, as you said, to be able to create a technology base around what we do and what we give our clients as our fiduciary responsibility, which the other tech companies don't have. So that was kind of the whole premise behind Command. And as Command's been developed over the last couple of years, I believe it's been out in beta a little over 2 years now, different pieces of Command have been rolled out. And the most important one, and the one I talked about earlier in the week, is, of course, your database. It's your contacts, it's your smart plans, it's keeping in contact with your database. But in conjunction with that, we do so much more than just have a relationship. We have multiple clients, we've got pipelines, and really commanding your business within our platform is made really, really easy within the system. He gives us goals that we can put into the system so we can track our progress. And you never know where you're going until you can track it. He gives us opportunities so that we can keep up with what's coming in our pipeline, what clients are we working out, what stages are we at in the transactions, and then finally he gives us reports and those metrics to where we can see what part of our goals are we hitting, where are we falling short, where do we need to concentrate in order to hit the goals and be successful in our own mind. And every agent is successful at a different level. Some agents want to be mega agents and make $1 million, and some just want a career that will fund their life, whether that be $40,000 a year, $80,000 a year, or $150,000 a year. But this system is built so that any agent, no matter what your perfect life looks like, you can build it here and track it. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. I want to make sure that y'all understand how to set your goals in Command and how to track your goals so that we can all be successful. So I am going to go ahead and get into the demo part of today's class, and I'm going to share my screen. Does anybody have any questions before we get into the demo part? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So getting into Command basics is agent.kw.command. We log in. And in order to set our goals, we're going to go into the report section. So it is going to be these 3 bars down here on this applet. It is seventh applet down, I believe. Or you can click on the KW to look at the words, and it is reports. And so the first thing that you see on this in this applet is your dashboard report. So your dashboard report is going to show you your database overview, how many total records you have, how many contacts you have, and how many leads you have. So let me stop there. Oh, go ahead.
What is records?
Those are your total number of people in your database.
Okay, so the number of contacts, basically?
Well, there's two different ways of looking at contacts and leads. Contacts we use as a universal kind of word to talk about our database. But really, there's two different types of records in your database. There are contacts, which are people that you have a connection with. So you can kind of think connection contacts. You've been in contact with them. You've had a conversation. Maybe you have worked with them in the past or working with them in the future. Maybe they're your sphere of influence that are your biggest cheerleaders. And then there's leads. Leads are what comes from marketing. Marketing, whether that be print, digital, virtual, however you're doing your marketing. And as those leads come in, those are people you don't know. Those are people that you haven't connected with. They may have seen an ad out on Facebook or something that you've been doing and want more information, but you actually haven't made a connection with them yet.
Gotcha.
So those are the two different records that you can have in your database. So as y'all can see right here, I have 481 contacts and I have 18 leads that I'm working right now in order to get a rapport and make that contact with them through my marketing sources.
Gotcha.
The next area down here is your database health. So you can see my database health is about average. It's 54.51%.
Mine's better than yours.
Yay!
I'm new.
And then it'll actually break it down and tell you how you're doing in your database.
It's so interesting because like on yours, you have way more addresses than I do. It's interesting how they do the score.
Yeah.
I have a lot of phone numbers and emails, but like no addresses, neighborhoods, or any of the other stuff.
And if you're interested, the way that they break down the health of your database, name, phone number, email address, and physical address each get 20%. So that can make up 80% health score per contact. Then you get an extra 4% for tagging it, for adding a social media profile, for adding a company that they work with or their job title, the lead source, and their birth date.
Oh, nice.
And I can post that out as well with this video to kind of remind all of y'all what those percentages are, but that's how you can kind of work up to 100% on each contact or each record that you have in your database. So you can tell through here, I have a number of addresses, but I haven't actually started getting the neighborhoods with these addresses. So that right there is a telltale for me that I really need to work on my addresses in my neighborhoods. I also need to work on my birthdays. And so that's what I've been doing the last couple months, is really working on this. I've got phone numbers, I've got good email addresses to reach out to them, but I don't have enough of the backup data to actually launch a lot of the smart plans that have been built into Command 2 for touch points other than direct contact, phone to phone, person to person, and or email. So This is an eye-opener. When you can actually look at your database. I mean, before we looked at our database and we said, "Oh, we've got 500 contacts. Yay, great.
Right.
Let's keep going." And we've got tons of people out there working for us and working with us. And then you actually break it down and you go, "Oh, well, I can talk to them and I can email them, but I can't really give them any market data. And I'm not really celebrating them. I don't have their birthdays in here." So that's a touch point for me. Then you have your database activity score. So this will actually tell you if you're using the tasks, which we'll go over here in a little bit, and having your system work for you in smart plans and things like that. You can see I've only touched 5% of my entire database in the last 30 days.
See, mine says 1.5.
So it's one of those things that you're like, oh goodness, I got to get on this. I got to start touching my database more frequently. So this will give you a score too of, hey, how am I doing? How am I actually doing reaching out to my database? Now, a function of this is also using command. So I have actually reached out to much more of my database in the last 30 days than 5%, because I'm doing bold pivot and I'm doing the DTD4, and I've been doing it on spreadsheets. And I exported my contacts and I've been updating all my contacts, and then I fall flat and I haven't put the information that I have on my spreadsheet of their updated birthdays and then what I've talked to them about and all of those notes into. So the system will only give you what you give it.
Right.
So that's also an eye opener for me and a reminder. Hey, get into the system, work with the system, make sure that I'm putting the efforts that I'm doing into the system so it's really giving me good information back. Over here, this will also tell you where your sources are coming from. So a lot of my sources I imported when we started Command, and I haven't gone back and really tweaked any of those sources into different areas of past clients or friends or companies that I know them from, which I still need to work on this as well. But you can see that 7% of my entire database comes from Facebook leads.
Right.
And well, and actually I had 2. So if you add these 2 together, I actually have 13% of my database. Because I must have Facebook ad lead. I have Facebook ad lead and I have Facebook lead ads. So I got to clean that.
Is there a difference? What's the difference?
I just typed in 2 different sources.
Gotcha.
So, I put some as Facebook lead ads, and then another campaign came in and I typed in Facebook ad lead. And I duplicated it and didn't realize I had 2. So I have to go back and clean those up and combine these. But I mean, 13% of my database is from doing marketing on Facebook.
Right.
So that tells me keep going. I mean,
right.
I'm getting a good percentage of my database from Facebook. And then it also tells me the KW app down here. I have not been working my KW app like I should be probably, and only 1% of my entire database is on my app, which definitely need to get that score higher. But this is a great dashboard to come in and look and say, okay, what's happening in my database? What's happening in my world? What's happening in my business? Then I also come in here and I have put goals in. So if you come up here on the upper left and go 2 areas over into goals, I have actually come in here and gone into goal setting and set up my goals for the year. And it is a Kelly guide. So if you click on goal setting up here, it will ask you to get started. And this is how you set up your goals. So, excuse me, I would like to make $100,000 annual profit from
Mhm.
from my business. That's after cost of doing sales. That's after operating expenses, but it is before taxes. So taxes are not factored in here.
Okay.
You tell it what year you want to set your goals for. Right now, 2020 is the only year that we have in here. As we progress through the year, they'll roll out 2021,
Mhm.
but it'll ask you, what's your profit? What do you want to take home from your business? What do you need to fund that perfect life? So most people, and I would say north of probably 80% of people I ask in class is they answer 100%, $100,000.
Mhm.
Nice even round number, but if yours is different, put that in there. If you want to make $200,000, or if you want to make $68,500 because you know that's going to fund exactly what you need,
Mhm.
whatever that is. Your expenses, that's going to be everything else that you pay out. So that is going to be your monthly uh, office fee. That is going to be your MetroTex fees. That's going to be your uh, Facebook ads, your print costs, anything that you have in expenses. That's going to be, what do you, if you're on heavier on the listing side, what do you pay for photography? What do you pay in getting marketing a listing? It could also be any number of expenses.
Right.
If you have any type of additional marketing out on like Nextdoor, or if you do a Zillow preferred agent, any of those expenses go into here. Your cost of sales, this is described as cost of doing business. So this is going to be your company dollar split. This is what you pay into the market center before you cap. It's going to be your royalties. It is also going to be if you have a transaction coordinator, if you have somebody and an admin, if you have a large team, it could be salaries. So those are all cost of sales. It's costs that you incur per sale. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then you have your business makeup. So I am actually a very heavy buyer agent right now. I do about 75% of my business in buyers and 25% of my business in listings. Whether that's what I want it to be right now or whether that's what I want my future to be, that's reality and that's the goals that I have to work towards right now.
Right.
Uh, my average commission per unit. So as we know, right now, 3% is kind of normal in the market. It can be negotiated per client. And about 300,000 seems to be the average in the markets that I work in. Yes, I've had things that go for 200,000 and I've had closings up to 700,000, but on an average, 300,000 is a pretty good average goal for me. So I did put in here 9,000 for listings and 9,000 for buyers. I don't work with a lot of leases, but if you did work a lot with leases and you had an average commission for leases, you can put that in here as well. And go ahead and just 1,000. Oh, and I need to add 5% here, and we'll take it out of the listings. So now I've kind of adjusted it to 20% listings, 70% buyers. Get it out of here instead. Because these are probably going to be more tenants than landlords. And then an average per lease is $1,000. So let's go to the next screen and setting up our goals, which is going to be stage 2. And it's going to be setting your conversion rates. There are going to be defaults here, and if you like the defaults, which is kind of the model of Keller Williams of what's kind of expected, you can leave those. If your conversion rates are higher or lower, but you can adjust these per your business. So when I get leads in, setting a lead to contact is about 10%. So if you, and again, what we define lead is somebody you don't know, somebody that comes in off of a marketing campaign, whatever that marketing campaign may be, digital and or print. And 10% is about average on what I convert. So if I have 10 leads come in, I convert one into an actual client. The next one is contacts to appointments set. So the number of contacts that I have in my database, on average, if I call 10 of them, 5 of them I can get an appointment set. Then on appointments set to appointments kept, of the 5 appointments I've set, 75% of them will keep the appointment and not cancel. Then appointments kept to agreements, of the 5 appointments I've got here, and what, 4 I kept, 3.5, 4 I kept, then I have a 75% closing on appointments to agreements. So now I've gotten myself to maybe 2 agreements. And then agreements to under contract or pending is 80%, and under contract pending to close is also 80%. And I'm going to move that back up to probably 90%. So now I've gotten 2 appointments. I've gotten probably both of them under contract. Maybe one falls through every once in a while. And then once they're under contract, it's a pretty definite that we get to the closing table. I very rarely have one fall out. So that kind of will tell you your conversions. If you want to ever go through that again and read, the definitions are over here of what that conversion is. Let's go ahead and save and continue that. And that's going to go over to reviewing our goals. So it's going to tell you your annual GCI needed to make your goal is a total of $135,000. That's going to be your annual profit plus your cost of sales and expenses. And it's just going to give you a breakdown of all of those charts that are going to make up this. So we've reviewed, and we click on what's next. Now from here, you can go to Smart Plans, you can go to Reports, or you can go back to the home screen. So for today, we're going to go into the reports, back into the reports section, and view the goals. So here's my goals, and this is my goals dashboard. So what this is telling me is that in order to reach my goals of $135,000 total GCI and $100,000 profit, I have to work 1,060 leads, contacts of 107 contacts per year, 53 appointments, 39 kept appointments, 30 agreements, 24 under contract, and I have to close 21 sales in the year to make my goal. As the year progresses on, and I do start closing deals and business starts going, it will also give you a profit tracker, and it will tell you, in order to hit this, where are you in your profits? The next section down, this will give you graphs of activity breakdowns of what's been going on, your emails, your smart plans, your neighborhood searches, calendar events, any notes that you're putting in with your contacts. It will give you your breakdown in lead conversions in kind of the funnel view, and it'll give you your GCI goal breakdown. So this is an annual number, as you can see here, and you can see estimated year to date right here. And I can also show this in a value, in a percentage value, so I can see what percentage to my goal I am. I can also toggle this in a this year or this month. And I can see that I haven't had any transactions actually closing this month, but this is my monthly goal. So as we're sitting at the 15th of the month, I need to know where do I gonna do to hit my monthly goal.
Nice.
So it does break it down a little bit more into bite-sized pieces. You can also do this goals versus actual into a month. So I can see how many leads I need, how many appointments, how many agreements, and how many under contract or closed, and where I'm at in each one of those this month. As you can see, I haven't had any business this month. But this will give you a good idea of where you're at on your business and what do you need to do to get your business back on track. So once you've set these goals, now you want to actually work your business. You want to work your transactions. When I'm into the class, so apologies. I've got a couple more people joining in class today. Hello. So to actually work in your business is going to be in your opportunities. So your opportunities is going to is where you're feeding your daily information and your daily business into these goals. So for right now, we're going to go back over to opportunities, which is where you really command your business and you work in your business. And this is going to be your opportunity dashboard. So your opportunity dashboard, just like your goals, breaks down your listings, your buyers, and your leases. It will actually tell you over here on the right-hand side what your GCI, potential and probable, are for each of the different types of transactions. And it will give you bars and graphs down here that show you your ratios of how many listings, buyers, and leases you have, as well as your activity and where your activity is over the last 12 months. So you can see really when I started getting into command in August and really started working through September, kind of fell back off in October and got back into bold, and there went my business. And I started really working into my business. And then you can kind of see right here in March, where kind of COVID-19 hit and we kind of all slowed down a little bit. You can kind of start seeing the slump in my business going forward into today in May. So it can also tell you a story of how your business is operating. Mute. So working in your business. So this can get a little bit confusing in looking at the listings and the different stages that a listing is. But if you think about your business before technology, most of us have been agents for a while. There are probably some new agents out there that after you kind of have your first transaction, you kind of get in a rhythm. You understand what the scheduled kind of events are, whether it be a listing and what needs to transpire from the time you get a listing agreement until you kind of the closing table, or buyer and searching for a new home and getting to the closing table. There's kind of a sequence of events and a schedule that most agents kind of get into a rhythm in with their clients. And that's really what these stages are, to kind of help you understand where you're at in the transaction with your opportunity. So an opportunity starts at the point that you have had a substantial conversation with a client. that is, I would like to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. If you've had that conversation with a contact in your database, then they are an opportunity. That is a future opportunity, whether that opportunity is a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or even a year from now. You want to open an opportunity when you have that conversation, and you want to put them in a cultivate status. So you can see here, I've got a listing in the cultivate status, and we can click on this. And this is just a test opportunity that I have opened up for today's class. So this is a test listing. I've had a substantial conversation with somebody or with a client, and or with a customer at this point. They are not a client until they have an active agreement in hand, but they are a customer at this point. And I have had a conversation with them that says they are wanting to do something in real estate and sell their house in the next 6 to 12 months. So I know I have this opportunity that I need to nurture. I need to watch. I need to make sure that I'm tracking when this conversation was and about when they're ready to move. So I put June 2nd in here, and now June 2nd is less than a month away. So I'm going to take this card and I am going to left click, hold, and drag this card across these phases into hot. And now I know that this customer is really ready to start talking about doing a transaction. So I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call and make an appointment with them. Now that I've had my conversation with them, they are actually ready. They want to have that conversation, sit down at the dinner table, and let's talk. I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to left click, and I'm going to pull it up here into a different stage, which is going to be my appointment, and I'm going to drop it into appointments. Now you can see that I've don't have it in my cultivate stage anymore, and now it's in scheduling an appointment. And I can continue that through the different stages and phases of the transaction. So here's the next thing. I've already kind of altered some of these. Some people have very complex stages that they want to add in to this sequence of events. And some agents want to make it very, very simple. They want 1 or 2 phases in each stage. So here are the, stages in each phase. So your phases of a transaction are always going to stay the same. You're always going to be working your customers, setting appointments, creating clients, negotiating contracts, and getting to the closing table. Those phases don't change. However, the stages inside these phases could change based on what you want to do with your business. So if you don't want a scheduling and a scheduled phase, and you wanted to move both of them over to scheduled, and you want to get rid of scheduling, you can come up here to the upper right-hand corner where it says Edit Stages. Click on this, and it will bring down an editing screen for your stages. To get rid of a stage is simply coming over and hitting the delete button. You can delete that stage. You can come over and you can add a stage. So maybe you want a scheduling, a scheduled, and then a number of different stages for your business, whatever those may be. You can add stages simply by clicking in, add the name of the stage, and then the probability and the position of the stage. So the probability percentage is the probability at that stage in the transaction what is the probability that it is going to get to the closing table? So if I'm at a scheduling stage, my probability of getting to the closing table at this point is probably only about 25%. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, but this is just scheduling an appointment. This isn't actually an appointment that's actually been had. Once I have the appointment and they have not signed the agreement yet, it goes up a little bit because I've now had the appointment. But look at my probability score between not having a signed representation agreement or listing agreement and having an actual listing agreement, and the probability of going to the closing table at that stage. So that's a pretty big jump. And for my business, once I have that listing agreement and or buyer's representation agreement, my percentage of getting to the closing table goes much, much higher than not having one in hand. In these items, in your stages, you can also have checklists. So you can come over here and you can click on your checklist items, and you can see if I've had an appointment and I'm holding, not yet signed on an agreement, I have certain checklist items that I put into place for that stage. So I follow up with them in 24 hours with a thank you email. Then I follow up within 48 hours with a phone call. Follow up within 72 hours with any outstanding questions that they may have. And then I give them a couple days, and then I do a final follow-up if the agreement is still not signed 5 days after the appointment. And if they still don't have a signed agreement 5 days after the appointment, then I put them on a bi-weekly follow-up and follow up with them twice a month until they tell me that they either want to move forward or they don't want to move forward. But you can see kind of my checklist, and these are just my reminder items. These are, okay, I've got a client in this stage now. What do I need to do with this client that is in this stage? I also have the same checklist for an appointment. So once I have a listing agreement, what are all those things that I need to do with that listing agreement in order to move to the next stage? So you can see here, upload listing agreement to command. I need to make sure that I have them fill out and sign a seller's disclosure. I need to check tax records, get a survey T47, and the so-and-so based on the listing agreement and what would or would not maybe apply to this stage. You do not have to write these checklists in. If it's second nature to you and you kind of already know what those are, these aren't things that you have to use. But as a new sales agent, having checklists is just another touch point for yourself to make sure that you're on track and that you're hitting everything that needs to be done within that transaction to make sure that it goes smooth for your client and give them that service that we all want to and know that we should.
So you lost me right before I found that. Not like on everything, but just on the computer following along.
Okay, so where did I lose you?
So I don't know how to get to the making the checklist. Like what does...
Okay. So we went in appointments, and we went from here into edit stages.
Oh, that's where I missed it. Okay, cool.
And this is where you edit the stages, and then you edit the checklists within each stage.
Perfect. And do you have a checklist that I can make my checklist off of, like a little template or something?
Absolutely. I will post that out on Facebook. I have actually typed out my stages and checklists for everybody.
I love checklist.
And you know, there are people that love them and there are people that hate them. But you know, and sometimes I use them and sometimes I don't, guys. I'll be perfectly honest with you. On the listing side, I haven't done as many. On the buyer's side, I have. But depending on how the transaction is going and how many transactions I'm trying to do at a time, if you've got one buyer, it's very easy to keep up with the transaction and all of the different stages and everything that must happen to make that transaction go smoothly for your client, um, because they're your only focus at that point. If you've got 3, 4, 5 deals that you're working with different clients and they're in different stages of each transaction, and you may be working on a listing, a brand new listing with one client, and a buyer that's already found a home, a buyer that's looking to put in a home, a listing agent or a listing side that is going under contract. You've got a lot of different things going on in a lot of different transactions. And honestly, checklists can just keep you kind of focused on where you're at in each one so that you don't accidentally miss something that's very vital to that transaction, and keep yourself on task. So that's really where I use these checklists.
Awesome.
So kind of getting back to the main screen, you kind of saw in the stages the probability percentage that I explained to y'all, but I want to show you how that kind of works on your dashboard here. So as I mentioned earlier, you've got your GCI over here, you've got your potential income, and you've got your probable income. So let's go back to that test case, and you can kind of see right now in an appointment stage, my probable income is 21,000 of the total potential 42 for all of my opportunities in here. How I put my potential income in here is when you open an opportunity in your details section right here, it is going to ask you when you open this opportunity, what is the estimated list price and what is your commission? This is where that potential income comes from. So you want to make sure that you're filling out your opportunities to the best of your ability and with as much information as you can in any given situation. Now, I know we're not going to have contract dates and close dates, but these can all change. As y'all saw, I came back into this opportunity. I came into the details section and clicked on this pencil right here on general information. And I can come in and edit anything on this opportunity that I need to at any given point. So if this estimated listing price is 500,000, and when we actually go to the table to sit down and we decide that, no, we really, I've got motivated clients, they want to start it at 475, I can come in here and change that very, very easily. Is there a question?
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to come in here, and right now I'm at scheduled, which is a 25% probability, and I can see that right here because that's what I've set it at. But now I'm going to take this test opportunity and I'm going to say we're going to sign a listing agreement, and I'm going to jump from that 25% probability to the 70% probability. So I'm going to come back up here to the left-hand corner on the back button and go back to my dashboard screen. Recalculating and thinking. And now you can see of that 42,000 potential income, I now have 27,000 probable income versus 21,000 probable income. So you can kind of base your cash flow and base what you have coming in your pipeline on your probable income, not your potential income.
Right.
So, but it does show you both.
whenever we put in our information, like in the Kelly guide with our like percentage of contacts and then how many go to each stage, is there any like AI that'll correct that if we did it wrong?
Um,
You know, because if we said we need 100 leads to make one sale, but it actually turns out that we need 200 or 50.
right. There's not an AI that will correct that for you. And if you're new in your business, you may not know what your conversion rates are.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have 2 or 3 years of historical data of your business telling you what's your conversion rate. So that's why there is default conversion rates built into Kelly Guide
Yeah.
that say, on average, in Keller Williams, what are the conversion rates of all agents?
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of that average? So you can let it default your conversion rates, and as you go through the year, what you can do, and what a lot of businesses do, whether that be real estate or any business out there, is they do a reforecast on a quarterly basis. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing, we're in May right now, um, June, so end of June would be second quarter. So you might not have enough data to do kind of a second quarter re budget goals, but maybe by the end of July or August, you're starting to see a pattern within yourself of, it takes me 10 phone calls to get an appointment, or it takes me 50 phone calls to get an appointment.
Right.
Then you can come back in here and go back into the report section, go back into your Kelly guide, as I showed earlier, and update those conversion ratios for what you're actually seeing. If the defaults are a little off based on what your specific business is and what it's taking you to get through the different stages.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
So going back here, it will break down your listings, your buyers, and your leases. So for total probable income, you do have to add these together. Right now, if you wanted to see the total added, you can come down here to the ratios. So my probable income with listings, buyers, and leases is $57,975 for the year. My potential is 91,000. If everything that I have in here converts to closed, I could potentially make 91,000, but based on the percentages and where they're at in their given stages right now, I really need to be looking at my probable of 58,000. So this just kind of gives you an idea of where you're at on your business, what cash flow probable is coming into your business. If you are looking at listings, buyers, and leases, and I said earlier in this training class that my business is more 20-70 on listings to buyers, but when I come back here and I look at my opportunities, you know, maybe my listings and my buyers are a little closer than what I think. And I need to go update my goals to reflect what's actually happening with my opportunities and in my business. Now, I don't recommend going and changing your goals every single month based on what your business is doing, because you don't ever want to cut yourself short. You want to be able to set your goals of where you really want them and be able to work towards them. And if you're falling a little bit behind your goals, you know, you need to work a little harder. And if we're exceeding our goals, you know that you're going to have a better year than what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take as updating goals on a monthly basis, but it is sometimes good to update your goals on maybe a quarterly basis or a biannual basis. Maybe the end of June, you reforecast for the second part of the year. I know a lot of agents in the market center are doing that right now, given the unforeseen economy we're in and the change in their own business that COVID-19's had on them.
Right.
So some people are updating their goals, and I've had other agents come in and say, no, my goals are my goals. And I might have slowed down a little bit over the last 30 days, but I'm going to make it up and I'm going to work harder and I'm going to still hit my goals. I'm not going to alter them for the year. So it's depending on what your business is, and you're all business owners and you can all make that decision for yourself. So the last thing that I want to show on as far as commanding your business is right now it's pretty easy. I've got 3 opportunities here in my listings. I've got 2 appointments. I've got 1 active. I can kind of keep that in my brain of the one person I'm listing with and who are the 2 appointments I've set. Once you really start using this tool to a very, very high level, you're going to have a lot of opportunities in here. You may have 10, 20 different opportunities in your cultivate stage that may be coming to fruition anytime in the next 12 months of your pipeline. And which ones have I made appointments for? Which ones am I still working for? That can kind of get confusing to some agents. So if you are looking for a specific contact and you're not just looking to see what's under contract or what's in an appointment status, you can come up here to all opportunities and click in your opportunities, and it will give you a list view of all of your opportunities here, no matter what phase they are in on your dashboard. So if I was looking for a specific opportunity that had closed, I could come here looking for the address versus clicking around the bubbles trying to figure out where they were and if I had moved them to the actual close stage yet or not. So that's just a little trick that you can do. You can also show multiple opportunities. So this is actually showing 25. If I need to see more and I want to see them all on one screen where I can scroll through them, I can see up to 75 opportunities at any given time in a list. So this is kind of the overview of how to work within your business. We do have a little bit more time. So I'll ask if there's any questions. If not, I'll spend the last couple minutes just recapping how you create an opportunity to work within your business. But right now I'll open it up for any questions.
No questions. This was really good though. I hadn't done most of these things and it was good.
Good. Well, it's a great tool. I mean, it's part of what Gary has really created to keep us the best in the business. I mean, there's so many things that we're all doing every day that kind of take away from, okay, grinding. And I think the best phrase I've ever heard, and it came up in bold last November, is don't ever forget to work on your business when you're working in your business. And that really stuck with me. And what that meant to me is when I'm working in my business and I'm working these transactions and I'm working with my clients, you don't ever want to lose sight of working on your business and feeding that cultivated pipeline. You always want to make sure that you're connecting with your database, you're cultivating those relationships, you're having those conversations, even though you're working on transactions, because what ends up happening is a roller coaster effect of, I've got a lot of business right now, I'm working on a lot of transactions, and they all get to the close table, And when we forgot to work on our business, now we don't have anything in our pipeline to keep working on transactions. We're constantly working a transaction or working to get a transaction, working on a transaction or getting one. And to really even out your business, you need to remember to work on your business while you're working in your business.
Yes.
Actually, there is one other thing. I think everybody kind of knows how to create an opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I know I said I'd show that, but we can show that on another class. I wanted to go back and actually go back into contacts. There's actually a new thing in contacts that I've really started using in my business, which is the tasks. And this kind of goes along a little bit more with working your business in command and going along with the checklists, and adding a task for a contact has been monumental for me. Because I pick up that phone and I make that phone call and I have that conversation with somebody and they say, yeah, it's middle of May. I'm getting married the 1st of June and we're going on our honeymoon, but absolutely, you know what? Call me back the end of June because our lease is up in October and we really do want to talk to you about buying a house. And while my memory used to be a lot fresher than it is right now, if I write that on a piece of paper, I may or may not see that piece of paper to remind myself to do that. So I can actually come in here and let's go to, I'm just going to use Mickey Mouse. It's one of my test cases, but I can come into that person's contact card and I can come over here to tasks. And I can set a task reminder that says buyer consult. And I'm going to set that for after 4th of July on the 6th. Because they're back from their honeymoon, they've gotten through the holiday, and now I can set that task. I can create that task, and now that task will automatically pop up on my home screen right here under tasks that will tell me every day what I need to do. And it will give me that reminder of, oh yeah, I need to reach back out to this person. That has been absolutely huge in keeping me on task and not missing that opportunity. Because if I miss that opportunity to call them back, and we all know every person knows more than one realtor. And we've all been in the situation where we've had very close, very dear friends of ours use a different realtor because they were the last person that contacted them. They were the last person top of mind when they actually made that decision to move forward with a real estate transaction. And I don't want to miss that opportunity. I don't want to come into July or the end of June and say, oh man, I forgot to call that person. And find out that when I did remember a week later, they've already listed with somebody else.
Right.
So that is monumental. Also, now have a note section that I have found. And like I had said before, I do a lot of my contacts by spreadsheet. It's just the way that I'm built. I like my spreadsheets. I like having my written notes. It's easier for me to dial quickly and connect with a number of different people in a day. And then I can come in and put my information into command. And when I have those conversations, I always want to come over here to the notes section and add a note. And if we talked about a wedding in June and getting married in Florida, honeymoon after the home window. So I can come in here and I can make these notes and I can save this into a note. So when that task does come up and I can't remember, oh my goodness, what were the details? What day did they say they were coming back? Whatever that is, I can come back in here to the contact card and remind myself of exactly what that conversation was. This is also a great area to put children's names, their ages, what schools they attend, what pets they have, what the pets' names are, what kind of dog is it, what's their favorite pet park to go to. All of those notes that you know about people or that they reveal to you that you may not remember because you don't talk to them on a daily or weekly basis. Those are two areas that I have really loved implementing into commanding my business and being able to be more personal on those calls and remind myself what we talked about the last time I reached out. So good information for y'all. I hope this really kind of helps y'all structure your business a little bit and command your business to be what it is that you want it to be, to build your perfect life. So I'll pause one more time. We're at 10:35 now, and a couple minutes over. I apologize for that, but just want to make sure that we answer any last minute questions.
That's super great. I don't have any questions.
All right. Well, I enjoyed spending the hour with y'all today, guys. If you have any questions, if you want me to go over any of these specific details, again with you, please feel free to reach out to me, schedule an appointment. I'd be more than happy to meet with you, but I will go ahead and post this video out this afternoon. And I'll also post those checklists so that y'all can tweak them for your own business. Feel free to chop them up in any way you feel that works for yourself, but it'll at least give you a jumping off point and a starting point. So as always, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and we'll connect on another training.
Thank you,
Bye, guys.
Christy. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.